Hello, this is Dinah Lane from Channel 18, and I'm here with Michael Locke and Tyler Maycath from Harwich Conservation Trust. And they're here to give us a bit of an update. Last time we talked about the Sand Pond Woodlands Initiative, and I understand there's more information about that, but we're also going to hear more about the stewardship, the land stewardship that Tyler has been overseeing for several months. So welcome to you both. Hi, Tyler.
Thanks, Dinah. Thank you for having us.
Good morning, Dinah. Nice to see you.
Great to see you both. So Tyler, why don't we start with you? And if you can just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. I know there's been lots of people involved.
Yeah, so in my role as outreach and stewardship coordinator here at HCT, one of my tasks is wrangling our fine volunteer crews to do outdoor land stewardship. And it's been a really fun and I would say pretty safe activity to do during this time when we're all otherwise spending a lot of time indoors. So, and away from other people. So, after taking a brief pause in the spring on group stewardship projects, we resumed socially distanced and masked land stewardship projects back in June. And we've pretty much been doing them weekly ever since. We've been fortunate to have about 20 or so dedicated volunteers. In any given week, we usually have about 10 people who come. A lot of familiar faces, but you know, a few others sprinkled in here and there. And they're ready to do pretty much whatever we ask of them. So and we really couldn't accomplish our land stewardship and conservation objectives without their assistance.
So what kind of tasks do you ask them to do?
Yeah, so you know, we own over 600 acres, or I'm sorry, we don't own 600 acres. We have preserved over 600 acres, a good portion of which we do own. And so all of that land requires some degree of management, some more minimal than others. We do focus a lot of our work on our sort of flagship preserves, which are featured in the HCT Trail Guide.
Mm-hmm.
And we also assist the town with their with the management of their trails as well. So especially those properties that are featured in our trail guide.
So it's things like clearing the trails. You have people clearing trails and making sure that they're passable and clearly marked. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all of the hiking trails need some kind of maintenance during the growing season. With the very busiest trails, the foot traffic does help to keep them open. With some of the less visited trails, they might need a little more trimming to keep them open. And we also deal with fallen trees when they occur. Of course, we're on Cape Cod. We got lots of windstorms here, so that does happen fairly frequently. Mm-hmm. And another focus of land stewardship, other than the trails and the trailheads and our kiosks, is invasive plant management. It's something we do a lot of on certain preserves. Mm-hmm. We have a preserve. There's no public access, but we informally call Holly Knoll, and it's on Long Road. And it's a place where the Shinquins, the former owners, planted a variety of hollies over many years. So it's a nice scenic location, and we want to try to keep the hollies in good condition and healthy. Mm-hmm. It is also a place where there is a lot of invasive plants that are growing in between the hollies. So mm-hmm. the primary one there is Asiatic bittersweet, which was introduced sometime back in the 1800s to North
Yeah,
America.
and how do you deal with that bittersweet?
Yeah, so our primary objective with invasive species as a philosophy is it's for us, eradication is not a possibility.
Hmm.
So what we're really trying to do is control large populations of invasives and to eliminate the spread of novel pockets of invasive species.
Right.
So we especially target those areas where things have just recently come in.
I see.
But we also want to be able to control large pockets of invasive species when we can. And here on this relatively small 1 acre property, we focus on cutting by hand the Asiatic bittersweet and just getting it out of the trees
Hmm.
because the combined weight of the
Right.
vines
Right.
can pull the trees down.
Yeah, I'm familiar with bittersweet. So you just cut it, but you do not apply any chemicals to it. Is that right? Or do you?
No, we don't.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
we might consider those techniques when necessary, but we don't do that work
Mhm.
ourselves. And
I see.
we
Okay.
only do we would only do something like that after a lot of internal discussion.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. So Pleasant Bay Woodlands is where?
Yeah, so the property I just mentioned was just one work day, but we focused a lot of our attention all throughout the year, even prior to the pandemic, on Pleasant Bay Woodlands, which is a 49.24 acre property. It's quite large, and it's a property located in between Kendrick and Bay Road in East Harwich.
Mhm.
And we acquired it several years ago. And this year we've been ramping up work to get the property open to the public in the very near future. And we've also been focusing a lot of our attention on an area around the historic Kendrick homestead. And that was an area that was open habitat, primarily field habitat for
Mhm.
centuries, really. And as the fields were abandoned there over time, again, a lot of invasive species filled in.
I see.
And
Yeah.
we find this to be true in many areas where there's been a history of human habitation, and then when things are abandoned, a lot of invasive species are the first to move in usually. So
Mhm.
in this area, we had a number of species to contend with. We have black locusts, multiflora rose,
Right.
Asiatic bittersweet.
Yeah.
We have border privet. We
Mhm.
have bush honeysuckle. Just to name a few. Those are the primary ones
Yeah.
in this small area. And so this work began actually before I started working here. So back in 2017,
Wow.
I believe 2017, Matt Cannon, who used to work here, started this work along with the AmeriCorps.
Mhm.
So when I came here, I kind of took up that torch with the AmeriCorps, and more recently with our volunteer corps, who has really stepped up to the plate in helping us
Right.
keep this area free of invasives,
Right.
make it open again, which will benefit wildlife in a number of ways. For centuries, we had these open areas on the Cape, whether they were being maintained by fire, as the Wampanoag people did
Mhm.
for wildlife purposes and for hunting, or whether they were cleared by European settlers for pasture.
Right.
And what we've lost in the last 100 years is a lot of these open habitats, which do naturally occur. But we don't have the presence of wildfire on the landscape
Right.
to the same degree that it used to be.
Hmm.
So without fire, the way we maintain these things is by cutting. Basically.
Yes, right. So it's an ongoing project, I would imagine. And
Yes, it is.
are
But
you going to be continuing your work through the winter, or are you taking a pause? What's happening?
yeah, well, we will be taking a brief pause. We are planning some brush burning out there over the winter.
Speaking of fire, yeah.
With a very small groups, mostly led by staff and AmeriCorps.
I see. Okay. So you don't need volunteers right now.
Yeah, we in any winter we tend to roll back the
Okay.
group stewardship activities because it's cold primarily, and things are not growing. And
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we
that
like to keep it comfortable.
sounds
people.
like you've accomplished a lot, and we'll look forward to the opening of that space. It sounds quite interesting.
Yeah, the trails are clear and ready to go. So
and do you know when it will open?
well, stay tuned to your HCTE News for an announcement about a property opening, which we're very excited about. I do just want to also recognize the fine work and hard work of the town of Harwich Highway Department, which provided an immeasurable level of support with the construction of the new parking area on Kendrick Road. So
that's great.
Yeah, agreed. Many thanks to Town Highway Department for their help. And if people would like to subscribe to our e-news, our email list, they can visit our website, harwichconservationtrust.org, and in the upper right corner, they can find a link to sign up for the e-news, and then they'll receive announcements just like this upcoming trail opening.
Great.
And other events as they unfold. So.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing for people to do so that they'll be up with the latest.
Sure.
Okay, so Mike, you want to talk a little bit about the Sand Pond initiative, which is now actually it's going ahead.
Yes. So when we last spoke with you, we were in the final fundraising home stretch goal by year end to preserve these roughly 6.65 acres that would really help complete this land conservation puzzle, since it's next to another 75 acres of existing protected land owned by the town, some of it owned by Harwich Conservation Trust, other parts. But to add this and to this puzzle and really bookend this wonderful conservation destination that's within the watershed to both Sand Pond and the Herring River would be quite an accomplishment. And we're really grateful to share that thanks to the support of so many in that final fundraising home stretch, many donors, businesses, the state contributed a conservation partnership grant, the Cape Cod 5 contributed a grant, the Fields Pond Foundation contributed a grant. So many came together to help us reach the goal and to successfully preserve this landscape in perpetuity. Really incredible. And, you know, you can really get a sense of the importance of this property relative to its proximity to Sand Pond by looking at that aerial image that was on the cover of the autumn newsletter sent out by Harwich Conservation Trust. That aerial photo taken by our volunteer photographer, Jerry Beetham. And he took a number of other photos that really lifted up the scenic and ecological importance of the property. So well done all. in succeeding with the Save Sand Pond Woodlands campaign. It's amazing, right? That campaign was first announced in February of this year, before we all encountered this pandemic that we find ourselves in, and people still really stepped up and rallied to make this quest to save Sand Pond Woodlands a success.
Yeah.
And timely too, because we're seeing more and more people out on the land, out on the trails, in our time apart, as we're social distancing, all of us, people are looking for other ways to connect outside safely and connect with nature. And this particular area, the Sand Pond Woodlands destination, already has a formal trailhead available for people to park at on Great Western Road, and they can find the trail map at our website, harwichconservationtrust.org, and click trails.
Okay.
And they'll see a list of the trail destinations, including Sand Pond Woodlands. So really, really exciting. Another aspect of this, shown by virtue of a map, really illuminates the water quality importance when you see this 6.65 acres really in the midst of the watershed to Sand Pond. And Sand Pond, right, having a town swim beach,
yes,
is really important to maintain the health of the water quality. And this land saving project really helps in that effort. So thank you to so many for making this happen.
Yeah. Well, good work pulling it all together too. And I think people do have more of an appreciation perhaps for our immediate outside environment, because we have been forced to spend so much time outside.
Yes.
So I can understand why people would be more alert to this kind of opportunity right now.
Yes.
But it is great. People's generosity is great. And your organization has been terrific too, along with partnering with many, many others, as you say. So, okay. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for the updates. And I hope you have a pleasant holiday season.
You too, Dinah.
And hope to see you very soon in the new year and hear about whatever new endeavors you're pursuing.
We look forward to seeing you then too, and happy and healthy holidays to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Dinah.
This is Dinah Lane from Channel 18. Thanks so much.